Yeah.
Then what would happen is, if you had a sore throat, they would suggest, depending on the severity of the sore throat, whether or not you would have 1, 2, 10 or even 20 worms on a cord tied around your neck, alive as these are. And then the idea was that when these died and stopped wriggling, your sore throat would be cured.
So I'd just put them on like this?
Yeah, that's right, and they're supposed to go to next to your skin, so they go inside your shirt.
Right, you hold that.
Okay.
Here we go.
They're rather cold and clammy, I'm afraid. Are we in?
Oh, got it in his mouth.
Sorry. Well, that's always one of the dangers.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we basically just tie it off. And then obviously...
Wise woman, have you noticed that the head of this eel is still wriggling as we speak?
Yes, they are notoriously difficult to dispatch.
Does that mean my wart's getting smaller, do you think?
No, it's when it has to rot away, so it's going to take some time, I'm afraid.
I think my sore throat's better.
Right, we shall take this off then, sir.
Wise women tended to be paid by barter, so they'd have traded their cures in return for a service like having a roof fixed or a supply of food. This was medicine for the poor. But natural herbs and ingredients often had genuine healing properties.
What other cures have you got?
Well, we have nettles. Nettles are particularly good for arthritic joints. And the idea is that you actually whack the joint with the nettles. And obviously the stinging of the nettles stimulates blood flow. But the problem is that you also have the sting of the nettle.
Yeah.
Now, to counteract the sting of the nettle, what you do is you bruise nettle tips, and I have some here, and you basically just keep squishing them like that. And because you've bruised them, it's quite safe to pick them up, and then you rub that on the back of the joint. It takes away the pain from the sting.
That really works?
It does work.
Come on then, give us a sting.
Oh, right, okay. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, blimey, a sting, not 19.
Okay, now is that stinging?
Yes, it's
right,
stinging.
okay, right. You have to rub it quite vigorously.
That really hurts you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I do apologise. Okay.
All round there, yeah.
So you won't be troubled with arthritic joints this weekend.
You might if this doesn't work.
How's that feeling?
My hand still stings like hell.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, I think a pick-me-up is called for.
Oh, I'll have a pick-me-up.
Okay. Well, I have some by the fire,
Yep.
which is bubbling away quite nicely, and it's worm stew.
It is worm stew.
Worm stew.
How do you make it?
Well, basically, take your fresh wormes,
Yes.
which we have in the pot there. I've already started to cook some of them down. We've mixed in bread, a selection of herbs, some water and some butter.
We know now that the worms would have provided the benefits of protein to an otherwise sparse diet, but boiling up weird ingredients could easily be construed as witchcraft, and if she was accused, there could be a high price to pay.
You would be arrested, you would have trials by ordeal, you would possibly have an open grate with an iron bar in and be made to pick it up and walk across a room and set it down without dropping it, and then your hands would be tied with bandages and they would be checked after 3 days, and if they were festering and showing no signs of healing, then you were convicted as guilty, because God would intervene if you were innocent.
I think your soup's bubbling. It's not burning, is it?
No, it's fine. I should think it's probably ready by now. It looks a bit black, but that's how it's supposed to look. There you go. Have a try of that.
Oh, look, there's some little lumps in it.
That's the worms. It's supposed to look like that.
It's quite hot as well.
Go on. You'll feel wonderful after it.
I wish I was dead. It tastes like phlegm that's slightly flavoured with chicken, doesn't it?
Yes, it does taste a bit like chicken and snot. Would you like me to take that back off you?
When Richard the Lionheart set off for the Crusades in 1189, he thought that by fighting a holy war for Christianity, he'd be saving his soul. In the Middle Ages, money could buy you the love of God and a place in heaven. Crusading was one way to get these spiritual brownie points, Another way was by building something big and bold for the church, like a cathedral. There are 24 medieval cathedrals in Britain. They took generations to construct. Building sites became home to whole communities of craftsmen and labourers who devoted their working lives to these monuments of medieval faith. Fortunately for us, we can get a bit of an idea of what working on a medieval cathedral would have been like, because the Tower of St Edmundsbury is still under construction today. Here in 21st century Bury St Edmunds, there's plenty of mechanised help. 700 years ago, everything was done by hand, or rather by thousands of hands. Building a cathedral in a city was like bringing a new car plant to an area today. It provided hundreds of jobs, high and low. But even prestigious workers like stonemasons had it tough. Before they even started building, they had the hellish tasks of quarrying and carting the raw stone to the building site. Andre Vrona is the most sought-after stonemason in the country and the master mason at Bury St Edmunds. He's brought me to Ketton Quarry near Peterborough to look for just the right piece of limestone for the St Edmundsbury Tower. Have people used this stone round here for building for a long time?
Oh, it's been recorded as being used from this area extensively since the 15th century, certainly, to build manor houses, cathedrals, mainly ecclesiastical buildings in north of here, south of here and East Anglia. We're fortunate today because in this quarry the strata is like been stripped in half for us, so we get a visual look at it. It's like slicing a cake in half and seeing what's in it.
But they wouldn't have had the advantage of all that, they'd just be digging down.
Down, exactly.
How would they have dug a piece out?
Well, you can guess that these guys wedged and levered it and drove pins in, and they actually found an iron bar here, and they can't date it, but it was quite old, this iron bar, but it was a tremendous length with a big ball on the end and a chisel on the other end. And you can imagine that this guy, you could get 15 blokes hanging on the end of this thing, and they would have just got it into the natural strata of the stone underneath it and raised it just a small amount.
Nowadays, transporting big pieces of stone is pretty easy, but in the Middle Ages it was a real problem. Basically, you had two alternatives. You could either use water, if there was a river nearby, or else you could use a cart, which was incredibly slow and very expensive. In fact, the cost of transporting the stone could be 4 times as much as the value of the stone in the quarry. And when you think that a lot of the stone for the English cathedrals came from Normandy, you can imagine how much the costs really escalated. So to save money on transport, there was a team of people whose entire day was spent cleaving the stone. All right, Andre, you've got modern technology, but how would the lads have cut up these blocks in the Middle Ages?
Well, it's called delving, and using plug and feathers.
What's plug and feathers?
Are these feathers and a plug that's tapered. It applies pressure and it splits.
Go on then, show me how to delve. In medieval times, these holes were laboriously drilled with a hammer and spike.
That one's tight enough, Tony.
Oh, you can hear the different noise, can't you?
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah.
So if you would like to just have a go.
Yeah.
A couple of taps on each one.
Yeah. Oh, missed it.
Keep going. One more big one. There, we've
Oh,
got it.
look at that, look at that.